Ecofictologists, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lovis and today I am bringing you a book review of a book that was mentioned several times in my chat last week with Mary Woodbury about Ecological Weird. I am going to be talking about Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This book had me hooked so fast and it didn't let me go the whole time, so I thought it would be a really great one to review on the channel. To recap a little bit for those of you who missed the chat last week, although I highly recommend you go and check that out, I'll leave a little link up here. Ecological weird is a genre that sits somewhere between sci-fi and fantasy. It still has the same implausibility that fantasy has, but it's slightly different. It's more in the way that you would say, that could never happen. Could it? Neither magic nor technological advancement explains why the world is the way it is or why it's acting up. The explanation is just kind of because ecology is weird, or because ecology has gone weird. It usually makes us look at the ecology that we're familiar with from a different angle and watch as it becomes ecology that we are not familiar with. Similar to ecofiction, ecological weird can include lots of genres like mystery or romance or thriller, etc. I guess as soon as it includes some kind of magic or myth, it blurs the line between ecological weird and fantasy, but that's not uncommon. You see that in quite a few examples of ecological weird that are out there. If this sounds like a genre that you want to get into, be sure to check out that chat I had with Mary. She gives a whole list of recommendations and examples. One of those recommendations was Wilder Girls by Rory Power, and I tell you now, it is weird as. It is freaky, it is creepy, it is definitely a story about ecology kind of stepping out of that box of rationality and explainability that we've tried to fit it into. The author, Rory Power, describes it as a cross between Jeff Vandermeer's Annihilation and Lord of the Flies, which I think is a fairly accurate description. Hopefully I've got your attention now, so let's get into it. First up is a spoiler-free summary. Wilder Girls takes place on Raxter Island off the coast of Maine, where the Raxter School for Girls is situated. When we meet the main trio of characters, Hetty, Reese, and Byatt, the school and the island are under quarantine due to an outbreak of something called the Tox. Pretty much all the girls in the school, as well as their teachers, are infected by the Tox, and it affects them all differently. We've got some second spines, we've got skin turning scaly and blood turning cold, we've got oozing blisters, daily bruises, some people grow gills. It's lovely stuff. Nobody knows what it is, and more importantly, nobody knows how to cure it. The girls live in constant fear, hunger, and vigilance of the woods outside the fence surrounding the school, because even the deer now pose a threat. The Tox has infected everything from trees to bobcats to rodents, and nature is now bigger and more aggressive than ever. The girls at Raxter have only survived this long because the Navy keeps sending supplies to them. As our story unfolds, secrets start to unravel, situations go from already pretty bad to worse, and our trio of friends are going to have their friendships tested in the most intense ways possible. The first thing I love about this book is that it's pretty much an all-girl cast. There are a few men scattered here and there, but 95% of the characters are female, and that's not something you see that often. All-male casts, sure, there are heaps of them. Some of them have just a few women scattered here and there for good measure. But most, the majority of books that I've read are male-dominated. So to see an all-girl cast was quite nice. I very much enjoyed that. That means that all the strength, the cleverness, the courage, the loyalty, the romance in this book are by, between, and among women, and I love that. The second thing I love about this book is the way that it's written. It is so descriptive without ever venturing even anywhere near purple prose. It's so simple but so effective. It swings you from like, oh, okay, this is nice, I'm quite comfortable in this scene, to, oh god, oh, ugh, in a matter of sentences with some gory detail or other. The book is written from two first-person perspectives. We follow Hetty for the most part, and a few chapters are from Byatt's point of view, and just kind of the lack of response to these gory details that make me shiver and shudder, and it tells you quite a lot about their life. You get such a feeling of the norm in their lives that she's just talking about it like it's every day, when this is stuff that gives me nightmares. They're all 13 to 18-ish. They've all seen death. Some of them have even had to do the killing. They've all lost friends to the tox, and they're always hungry. All while their bodies are being changed by this sickness that no one knows how to cure, and they've been stuck on an island in quarantine without having spoken to their families or parents for a year and a half. This book is anything but monotonous. You never stay in the same state for very long. There's always something happening, somebody shaking things up, and it's so gripping. It just keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time. Rory Power sucks you in with this book. You care about these characters, you know, what's going to happen to them? What is the tox? Is anyone going to find a cure? Is that going to be the plot of the book? How many of these girls are going to survive to the end? Gripping. Just gripping. And freaky. The ecofiction part of this book is quite prominent. I mean, it's a sickness that slowly turns people into part animal or part plant, and has turned the nature around the school into something altogether more wild and eerie. The thing I really want to talk about happens at the end of the book, and because I try and keep this spoiler free, I can't talk about it, but it is cool. But this story is part body horror, part mystery thriller, so you kind of collect clues along the way as to what the tox is and why it's infecting everybody, and you get these bits of information when the characters whose perspectives we're following get them. So it just pulls you through the story that way. This is one of the first examples of ecological weird that I've read, and I have to admit it's a little outside my wheelhouse. You know, body horror is not something I can say that I've ever read, but I really enjoyed it. There was never a dull moment, and I can say that it's not like any other book I've ever read, which can only be a compliment, really. After my chat with Mary Woodbury last week, actually I think it might have been when we had stopped recording, helpfully, she mentioned that when people read ecological weird, they feel kind of agitated or off-kilter. And that is exactly what I felt with Wilder Girls. I was never comfortable while I was making my way through this book. I never really knew what to expect because this weird ecology has no boundaries that I recognize. It doesn't fit into any framework that I could classify it into. So I have zero tools to predict what's going to happen next. I wonder if readers are left feeling agitated or unsettled when they read Ecological Weird, because these are stories where nature has the upper hand and we are playing catch up. We are not on top. People are suffering while nature just does its thing and puts us in our place. That could be very unsettling since the majority of stories that we tell are where humans have the power over their environment. I don't know, that's a bit of a random thought, but I kind of like it. I mean, this mindset that we are apart from the system rather than a part of the system is one of the reasons that we're so disconnected from nature now. Maybe portraying nature as freaky and creepy and out to kill you is not the most straightforward way of getting people back on board, but hey, change your perspective every now and then. See what happens. I like it anyway. Okay, we have gone off on a slightly weird tangent, but since we are talking about ecological weird, still kind of on topic, very much on brand. But I'll leave it there for today. I hope you have enjoyed this review of Wilder Girls by Rory Power. If you have, be sure to like the video and let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you want more chat about ecofiction in your life, and let's be honest, why wouldn't you? Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you get notified every time I post new content. If you like what I do and would like to support me, head on over to patreon.com/ecofictology and become a patron. Your monthly donation of whatever size helps me buy my next read and also supports Love the Oceans, a marine conservation organization operating out of Mozambique. If you want to connect with others and nerd out over ecofiction, join us on the Rewilding Our Stories Discord server. It's a safe space for you to ask all your questions, share resources, and even find some community motivation if you're working on an ecofiction project of your own. Invite link is also in the description. If Discord isn't your thing, there is now a Facebook group for you to do the exact same thing, and you can find that here. And also in the description. Okay, that's all from me. I will see you next week, Ecofictologists. Stay weird.